too is that their net margin, their net profit is negative 5 quarters in a row. That's 15 months. When we take a look annually, they've actually had negative profit for 4 years, roughly $8 billion that needs to be made back. Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. Today we're going to go over GTA 6 and their timed exclusivity kind of like showcase for the game that we're going to see. They call it Trailer 3. But I do think it's interesting to talk about this because this is not just talking about what it means for Take-Two Interactive, but also for Netflix and also other kind of like ad platforms going forward. Because I do think it is going to change the landscape. So let's go over this. So just real quick, GTA 6, the trailer is going to be released on August 27th. It will launch first on Netflix, and then there will be a 6-hour timed exclusive window for it to then appear on YouTube. And again, they're trying to get people that need to watch it right away to basically make sure that they're on Netflix, but also there's roughly 320 million on Netflix right now. There's a lot of people. And the people that are paying for those higher tiers, 44% of that revenue is coming just from Canada and the United States. So yeah, this is really, really interesting because we are timed exclusivity an ad. Usually they're free. Usually you don't have to have any type of subscription or payment to access them. And well, some people would say that, well, exclusivity is to help the platform. Otherwise, you can go somewhere else. Well, if this is the case, is Take-Two and other gaming publishers now going to be using Netflix or maybe Paramount in the future or Disney Plus to try to, again, get people to the platform? As of right now, there's somewhere between 301 and 220 million subscribers on Netflix as of August of 2026. They make tens of billions in revenue, but their subscriber base has been slowing down. So what they've done, what I'll show with this chart here, is again, we had really good growth. And then it kind of staggered a little bit right here. Well, then they added a subscription tier where you could basically have ads and it was at a cheaper cost. And then we actually started having some growth again, but I have a feeling we're starting to slow once again, at least as a percentage. So they've already maximized everybody that they could. We've already had price increases with Netflix, and now we're moving to ad-supported stuff. And then, too, this is kind of a new role. And next, Netflix is, trying to build what some would call a new engine beyond subscriptions. So Netflix is showing that advertising is becoming a much bigger part of its growth story, with the streaming giant nearly doubling ad commitments during its 2026 U.S. upfront program. The result reinforces Netflix's push to build a second major revenue engine beyond subscriptions, just as its proprietary ad tech platform and live event slate begin scaling. So they're pushing forward because, again, they've maximized, they've saturated as many as they can, for subscription-wise to the platform, and they've hit a wall on how much they can actually charge and what people are willing to pay for. That's why that ad plan actually exists. Xbox is working on doing the same thing, and we'll probably hear more about that later this year. But, right now it's being tested. It's called Game Pass Flex, where you watch an ad, and then, you have playtime for about an hour before you need to watch another ad. Or, in my, assumption is that there's multiple ads for that. Now, the timing of this for Netflix matters because Netflix already expects advertising revenue to roughly double in 2026 to about $3 billion. Again, that's, a little less than 10% of what they're making now. But this would still represent a relatively small slice of the pie. But the rapid growth gives Netflix another lever for monetizing viewing without relying exclusively on subscription price increases. We also see this with YouTube. It used to be completely free, and then we've had a whole bunch of ads, and it's like, look, if you want less ads or you want some benefits to music or whatever, or tie everything together, we have subscriptions for those. It's the same with Spotify. It's the same with anybody else, really, is that, there is kind of a subscription push, and there has been for quite some time, even with just microtransactions and stuff. Basically, it's a subscription. You pay for every season a certain amount of money, or you pay for the 2 battle passes or whatever it is. And ultimately, you get those microtransactions, but in most cases, they don't get to come with you. Now, when we take a look at Netflix's push here, now Netflix is a publicly traded company, and they have done very, very well for the last few years. They've made a lot of money. The stock has done well. But again, they have saturated stuff, and it's been falling since June of last year. Basically, we're now 14 months ahead, and it's still continuing to generally go down over time. And we've almost cut the value in half, which is horrible. When we take a look at their profit, well, actually, the profit looks pretty good from 2022 to now. But when we look at the last few quarters, well, they've been decreasing Q2 of 25, Q3 to Q4, and then Q1 had a massive spike for their fiscal year of 2026. Well, and then we almost cut it in half again, basically lost about 40%. And my assumption is we're going to continue to head back down. And even though we've been having more revenue coming in for the company, generally speaking, the profit is less, the net profit. And so I think the reason that Netflix is doing this is, again, to try to get people to come to their platform. Just TVs, movies, and shows, it's just not enough anymore, or even live events. So while they're trying to scale some of that stuff, and also doing ad-based plans and stuff, again, to try to get more people in, to have more subscribers. Again, it sounds like a lot, but there's also a lot of people that are just paying for the cheaper plans. And while they do show some slight revenue growth, their profits are not going up. And I think that is the thing that they're ultimately worried about. And going forward with the economy the way things are, well, that's just ultimately going to be worse for pretty much every single type of industry and company. So I think they're trying to now partner and trying to get more stuff to the platform. And gaming is kind of becoming more of a thing anyway, and movies and gaming and comics and different types of art books and even records, vinyl records. Some of the music has been made for that, which is interesting. But I kind of not sure if I like this future either to begin with. Kind of like having timed exclusive ads for a video game or sharing that content. So, and we've kind of seen this before. Oh well, it's digital, so it's cheaper. Well, we know how that's gone with video games. We know too that it's just microtransactions. It's just a few dollars. Well, now they're macro transactions. Okay, these macro transactions are huge, and they are the entire engine for getting you to pay. And well, it's free to play, and it has microtransactions. Well, now we pay $70, $80 for a game, and it has microtransactions to boot on top of it. Even with GTA 6, we're basically also paying for small free to play models like Marathon, or like some are expecting, GTA Online, to actually pay a monthly fee to play when it's just kind of a small portion of the game, or there's other competition out there. So there are some people looking at this from a value side and saying, no, this is not value. I'm not going to pay for that. It's not worth paying for that. And I don't even think Trailer 3 is really worth it. They've already made billions. But when we take a look at Take-Two Interactive, the thing that's interesting about Take-Two Interactive is that it has stalled over the last year. It's not really going anywhere, at least as a stock price. But the thing that's fascinating too is that their net margin, their net profit, is negative 5 quarters in a row. That's 15 months. When we take a look annually, they've actually had negative profit for 4 years. And they have spent billions every year on this. Like, this is insane. There are roughly $8 billion that needs to be made back. And a lot of the cost has probably come from making GTA 6. They have some other projects, of course. But this is probably coming just from GTA 6, a lot of it. And so they need to make that money back. Now, as of right now, what we're seeing right now for pre-orders for GTA 6 is that we've roughly hit over 50 million pre-orders, which is roughly $4 billion, which is kind of insane. Last report that we had is that we were at 43, 45 million maybe. But yeah, now we're at 50 million in pre-orders, and this is also just from multiple sources, okay? It's not just from exactly one specific place. But 4 billion is only halfway there for paying that stuff back. Because again, they've been extremely unprofitable, and they need roughly 8 billion in sales. So they're halfway there to breaking even, and then there still has to be profit after that. Now, GTA 6 did not cost $8 billion to make. That's not what I'm saying. The estimates right now are roughly between 2 and 3 billion for all of the marketing and deals and the development cycle and everything else and contractors. But again, it does need to make a lot of money. Now, maybe GTA 6 is profitable, but as a company for the last 4 years, Take Two Interactive has not been profitable. And that money has to come from somewhere. And I guarantee you, they are banking on the sales and also online revenue when the microtransactions come out and GTA Online and all of that other stuff. They're expecting that to actually come from GTA, really not much else. They probably have some other stuff in the works, but again, the bulk of it's going to be GTA 6. So the question is, can GTA 6 get 8 billion in revenue and be profitable? I don't know. And I think this is partly part of it too. Again, GTA 6 is trying to get in as many places as they can. They're also trying to save costs where they can, including like with the physical disc, because Strauss Zelnick said this year in February and in May, there will be a physical copy. Well, now we find out that there is just a digital code that you can redeem in your physical box. There is no disc, which is horrible because that's not what people wanted. And then to make it worse, PlayStation has region locked codes, and the codes expire 179 days basically after launch or after they've been printed. I forget which. But that's not great either. Now, of course, no one's going to wait that long. I understand that, but again, it's the principle of the matter. That is not the benefit to the customer. That is all beneficial to the company. And I want us to remember that. So I'm sure it'll do well. I'm sure it'll make money. As itself, it'll be profitable. But as for the company, will it make enough money? The first year is going to do great. 2026, the pre-orders are going to be good. 27, the pre-orders or the sales are probably going to be good too. But can it be sustained? We'll have to see. But yeah, I just think by principle, we are now having timed exclusivity paywalls for ads. It just sounds really weird. By principle, it just sounds off because you wouldn't pay any type of subscription to really see an ad for a car or for a vacuum or for a house or for anything else. Again, the ad has to be free because you're just looking for a sale. That is just part of the game. No one's going to pay to see an ad for something, but would you pay an ad to see a game? You might. They think you might. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'll leave a poll about this a little bit later after this releases. But yeah, leave your comments down below. What do you think? With that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.